Hi, welcome to the 30-day Family Health Makeover webinar. I am Leann Forst, and I am a drugless practitioner, and I coach clients nationwide to help them recover their health by getting to the root cause of their condition with testing and then using nutrition, detoxification, supplements, and other natural protocols to help them rebuild their health. And I have been grateful to have had success in reversing such conditions as ADHD, asthma, allergies, early puberty, diabetes, hypertension, digestive issues, skin conditions, and several types of cancer and other health conditions. I am also the owner of groovybeats.com, and I specialize in family health and cancer coaching. So if you don't remember anything from this webinar, I strongly encourage you to remember this. Academic achievement of America's youth is strongly linked to their health. However, the problem is that all of the childhood disease rates are on the rise. Autism is now 1 in 68, 200% increase in the last 20 years. Attention deficit disorders are averaging 1 in 10 children. Asthma and allergies are 1 in 8. Mental health disorders are 1 in 5. 43% of children are diagnosed with a chronic illness. 1 in 3 are expected to receive a type 2 diabetes diagnosis in their lifetime. And if that isn't all scary enough, the World Health Organization has stated that cancer rates will increase by 75% by the year 2030. So what do all these diseases have in common? Well, what they have in common is a gut connection. And what that means is that gut inflammation and toxicity interfere with nutrient absorption. And that's important because the gut is known as the second brain. There are 100 million neurons running along the lining of the gut. And when the gut is not healthy, then the brain cannot operate at its optimal level. This is referred to as leaky gut syndrome, because when this is happening, then you cannot absorb all the nutrients that you consume. 95% of diseases are now considered epigenetic. And a lot of us have heard of the term genetic, where you're born with a single gene condition like Down syndrome, and there's nothing you can do about it. But in a new area of study called epigenetic science, we have now learned that 95% of diseases are caused by diet, lifestyle, and environment. This is actually good news because that means that 95% of diseases can be reversed through diet, lifestyle, and environment. So what are the causes of leaky gut? Well, changes in the food supply. Our food is just not as healthy as it was 30 years ago. Changes in our farming practices. We are now pouring more pesticides and herbicides on our food than we ever did. And we're genetically modifying our food since 1996. Most Americans are eating the standard American diet, high in processed foods and food additives. The average child eats 49 pounds of sugar a year and is loaded in refined carbs. Gluten has become a real problem, and all of this leads to nutrient deficiency. There's also a problem with increased use of chemicals in our food overall, our water, our personal care products, and our cleaning products. This all adds up to inflammation and toxicity for our bodies and in our gut, leading to severe nutrient deficiency and poor health. So here's a better image of the progression of leaky gut. So normally, our gut is like a gate. It's a tight juncture. However, when it's bombarded with toxins and food particles that like gluten and infections and pathogens, then what this does is damage the gut lining, and the gut lining is only 1 cell thick. And so now it becomes permeable, and the gut inflammation leads to into the bloodstream, causing an immune reaction, systemic inflammation, leading to poor health. So the benefits to a family health makeover could be many. First, you could end behavior issues. You could balance your family's insulin and sugar levels. You can also reduce hyperactivity and gut inflammation. You could reduce the risk of allergies, asthma, ADHD, and many chronic childhood illnesses. You could boost immunity against colds, flu, and other nasty sicknesses. You'll have better moods for everyone, increased attention span and focus, sounder sleep, and what's really important is the reduced risk of cancer for our kids. So let's talk about where we start with the 30-day family health makeover. First, we have to start with food additives. This would be step one. Junk food is everywhere, from salty snacks and fried foods to soda, candy bars, and cookies. Many feel it's hard to choose healthy options. Junk foods contain addictive ingredients like sugar, artificial flavorings, and MSG that make it hard to stop eating them. And we now know that there are 5 times more food additives in our food, poured into our food in the last 30 years. And in a report that you could find online from the Center for Science and the Public Interest called Food Dyes, A Rainbow of Risk, they have linked food dyes and food additives to everything from allergies, asthma, and ADHD to cancer. In a 4-year study performed in New York City schools, they found that when they fed children over 4 years a low additive breakfast and lunch, that test scores overall improved by an average of 16%. Moreover, they found in that test that the number of children that were behind fell from 12.4 to 4.9%. In another study by the Lancet, which is a well-known British medical journal, they did a research on what the effect was of additives, food additives, on a developing child's brain. And the conclusion of that study was that food additives have the same effect on a developing child's brain as does lead exposure. And the study goes on to say that if food additives were banned, it could result in a 30% decrease in the amount of ADHD diagnoses. So we know what we should be eating is on the left, whole foods, but what in reality we are eating is the frankenfood on the right. Frankenfood is the new normal. In other countries throughout Europe, the harmful effects of chemical additives have been recognized and therefore regulated or banned. And despite that they've been linked to everything from cancer to behavioral problems in children, many additives still remain on the US FDA's generally regarded as safe list, which means you're left to have to navigate the convoluted jumble of unfamiliar words on the back of an ingredients list if you want to avoid feeding them to your family. But you don't need a PhD in chemistry to make sense of it all. You only need to remember this. If you can't pronounce an ingredient or you don't know that you'd recognize it on its own, then your body surely won't recognize it. And think of it this way. Our bodies are organic living beings. Chemicals in our food do not belong in our body. So cutting out chemicals in your food is always the first step to obtaining great health. Here are some of the nasty things that artificial dyes are linked to. Blue dye, number 1 and 2, DNA damage, brain tumors, citrus red, number 2, bladder tumors. And then you just go down the list. Bladder tumors, lymphoma, asthma, DNA damage, violent behavior, hyperactivity. That's quite a few reasons to get artificial colors out of your pantry. Here's an example of a terrible product. If you just look, you'll see that it contains red number 40, blue number 1, and yellow number 6, not to mention that has BHT, soybean, and several other undesirable ingredients. So along with food additives comes artificial sweeteners. Okay, so artificial sweeteners have been linked to everything from cardiovascular disease to weight gain to metabolic syndrome to type 2 diabetes, brain disorders, and cancer. Here are some of the names that you should look for on your packaging of any of your processed foods or sodas to make sure that you're not consuming artificial sweeteners. And beware of products that say sugar-free or diet. That screams that it has artificial sweeteners. Okay, then next we need to look for preservatives. And preservatives can be found in a lot of different meats. And the reason we want to get rid of preservatives is because it's linked from anything to increased risk of cancer to hyperactivity to allergic and asthmatic reactions, increased risk of heart disease, digestive disorders, headaches, neurological issues, and unhealthy weight gain. These are some of the words you'll want to look for on the packaging of the deli meats and preserved meats that you're eating. Calcium propionate, disodium EDTA, nitrates, nitrites, potassium benzoate, potassium sorbate, sulfur dioxide, and sodium propionate. Okay, so really to round it out, what you want to do is toss artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, preservatives, and really start replacing frankenfood with real food. After getting the chemicals out of our food, my son's asthma completely disappeared within in a short time, and my headaches were gone. And many kids diagnosed with ADHD are actually just sensitive to artificial dyes. So the bottom line is, if it sounds like a chemical instead of something from a garden, don't eat it. Okay, so next, we need to start detoxing from sugar. As parents, we are the health coaches of our family. You have the ability to make empowered decisions about the food your family is eating. You have a choice. So ask yourself these questions. How is junk food benefiting my family? How can I replace these items with equally delicious yet nurturing foods? And how will my family's health change when we remove junk food? Here are some reasons to reel in on refined sugar. First, again, children under the age of 12 are eating an average of 49 pounds of sugar a year. Sugar feeds the growth of yeast and bad bacteria in the gut, which damages the gut intestinal wall, which leads to leaky gut and nutrient malabsorption. The 2010 Journal of Pediatrics links high sugar consumption to aggression, withdrawal, behavior, and attention issues. It also is known to suppress the immune system and increase stress hormones. And if that isn't enough, you need to know sugar is a cancer feeder, and now we are even on the cusp of discovering that sugar actually causes cancer. So what do? So you replace the toxic refined sugar with natural sweeteners from Mother Nature. You don't have to get all of the sweetness out of your life, right? So honey is a great replacement. Date sugar is great for baking. Organic stevia is something we have and use all the time in our smoothies or in some of the dishes that we like. It's actually an herb. It's not a sweetener at all. Organic coconut palm sugar is also a natural sweetener that is low glycemic. It's full of nutrients, and it actually is delicious. It tastes like caramel. So crowd out. This may sound counterintuitive, but adding in more real food could be your saving grace. When you place a strong emphasis on real food, there's little room left for empty calories. And so what is real food? Well, it's any food from Mother Nature. So not from a laboratory. Think apples, not Apple Jacks, right? Protein, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats at every meal and snack. Many people turn to junk food when they're stressed or in a hurry and looking for a quick energy boost. And what they really need is a well-rounded meal or snack comprised of protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats to nurture their bodies and provide slow-burning energy. Healthy fats is one of the most missing things from American family diets because it's important because your brain is 60% fat and it needs healthy fat to operate at its optimal level. By making some small tweaks to your nutrition, your family can realize some amazing benefits over time. Okay, so the third step is we need to rethink our beverages. And this looks a lot like what most people have in the refrigerator. And this is one of the most obvious yet overlooked factors in a healthy life. Some of the worst offenders for kids are sodas, which lead to diabetes, behavior issues, cancer, and MS, energy drinks, asthma, ADHD, neurologic issues, panic attacks, depression, insomnia, bipolar issues, and heart conditions. And this one may be surprising, but cow's milk is actually not good for most people. Cow's milk, we've been sold a bunch of marketing. It does a body good. The milk mustache doesn't lie, right? Wrong. Cow's milk and cow's meat are two of the most polluted items in our food supply today. And this is coming from an Iowa farm girl. So if you're still drinking cow's milk in your family and have chronic health conditions, then here are some of the reasons you should stop. First, cows are loaded with hormones and antibiotics because they're shot up with these chemicals in order to try to keep them healthy and build them up and make them fatter. The cows also eat genetically modified corn that is sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. And what goes into that food supply, what cow eats goes into the cow, goes into the cow's cells, goes in the cow meat and the milk, and you consume it. So you are eating the whole food chain. And not to mention that corn is a fattener. They eat corn because the farmers want to fatten up the corn. And again, you're eating the whole food chain. So really, even organic milk has issues. If you were to consume cow products, organic is always better, but cow milk in and of itself causes mucus in the body. So think of a stagnant pond where bacteria grows. That's what it does to our body. And then lactose is the sugar that's found in milk. Not only that, cows are pregnant an average of 300 days during the year, and those pregnancy hormones go straight into the milk. So moving on, fruit juices are just like consuming sugar, really, it causes a spike in the blood sugar and creating an imbalance. It's linked to ADHD, behavior issues, and weight gain. Gatorade and sports drinks are linked to asthma, ADHD, certain cancers, and a candida infection. So it seems so easy, but we really need to start with water first. There's so many choices in the grocery store aisle. We always forget water is really the only thing we need to live, right? It increases your energy. It helps with digestion. I mean, the amount of kids that are constipated these days is out of this world. It helps support a healthy weight, detoxes the body, reduces cravings and binges. And really, there's many ways you can do this. If you don't just like plain water, try seltzer water or fruit-infused water. But we do want to ditch the water in the plastic bottles for a couple of reasons. Of course, it's bad for the earth. We know that. But also it contains, these bottles of water, the plastic contains BPA, which is a toxin in itself, a chemical that leaches into the water. And it's a hormone disruptor. It's called a xenoestrogen. And then you always want to filter your water. You don't want to drink it straight out of the tap. On the right-hand bottom, that is Contigo brand. That's the actual stainless steel water bottle that I use and carry around all the time. And then on the left, that is the Invigorate water filter pitcher that we use in our home. And then so to round it out, what we want to do, all in all, is clean out your fridge of sodas, energy drinks, juice, and sports drinks. They're just not doing anybody any good. You might try by replacing cow's milk with coconut milk or almond milk. And even if it doesn't, if your family doesn't like the replacement of the coconut milk and almond milk right away, just keep trying. Even try half and half in a glass. Replacing sports drink with coconut water. Coconut water is actually God's electrolytes, right? Okay, so step 4, fruits and vegetables. All right, so really, fruits and vegetables are the number 1 and number 2 thing missing from the American, typical diet. The truth is, they're not hard to incorporate into a good family health plan and are the best thing you could do to get or keep your family healthy. Not only are they packed with vitamins, minerals, and micronutrients, but when prepared correctly, they are incredibly delicious. They provide fiber, they help you maintain a healthy weight, they help with constipation, they provide micronutrients, help really with disease prevention. And overall, kids should be getting an average of 46 servings a day, but I know families that don't even come close to getting 46 servings a week. So here are some tips just to get started. First, keeping a bowl of fruits on the counter in a decorative bowl, like grapes, apples, bananas. Things are easy to grab and go. Even munchies like cut up celery or cucumbers or grape tomatoes. Serve at least one veggie and one fruit with dinner. And then really incorporating a meatless Monday now and then so that the veggies get the spotlight over the meat is a nice idea. But really my all-time favorite way to incorporate fruits and veggies is smoothies. And this is my secret weapon. And so you'll want to have a pencil and paper because I'm going to give you my all-time favorite kid-friendly smoothie recipe. So first, I pour into my Vitamix about 12 ounces of coconut milk per kid. And then I add in I'd say 2 tablespoons of almond butter, 1 banana. I squeeze in about a teaspoon of honey. I put in 2 packets of organic stevia. And then this is the secret ingredient, the Live Fit Superfood Blend. I get it at Costco. You could also get it at Amazon. But this particular blend, per serving, and I put in 2 scoops, so 2 servings, per serving equals a half a bunch of broccoli, 2 cups of blueberries, 1.5 tomatoes, 6 grams of protein, and a ton of vitamins and minerals. And that little picture of that smoothie on the left bottom, that's what my smoothie looks like. I actually got these soda glasses and I use them for smoothies, and I put the whipped cream on there because it's really, whipped cream is harmless, in small doses in itself. And this is what the smoothie looks like. So the kids really do feel like they're getting a treat, although they know that it's also nutritious for them. And if all else fails, here's my shameless plug. You can always get the cookbook, How to Get Your Kids to Bake for Veggies, where I sneak in veggies using organic veggie powders and baby food. I started doing this when my son was very sick when he was around 3 years old, and I needed to boost his immunity with nutrition. And ever since, I've been doing it ever since. He's now 13, and I'm still putting baby food in his food, and he knows it's good for him. Okay, so number 5, we need to get cooking. Families just don't cook much anymore. And I grew up on a farm where we grew our own food and we cooked a lot. There wasn't a McDonald's or a Pizza Hut within 20 miles. We hunted, we fished, we lived off the land. But nowadays, people are so busy, they aren't cooking so much. Fast processed, chemically laden laboratory creations have become the norm. The only way to take back your family's health is to get cooking. And trust me, it doesn't have to be hard. I've included some tools that will give you a quick lowdown on how to get started. Okay. First, I always aim for 1-pot dishes. It just makes things easier. And then steaming is one of my secret weapons. Is this particular steamer in the bottom right-hand corner is from Secura, and you can get it on Amazon, or at least that's where I got it. It's 3 tiers, so you can cook several different things at once: chicken, vegetables, rice, what have you. Or what I like to do also is cook 3 different kinds of veggies, and they're ready to go. All you got to do is lightly reheat them for the week. Stir frying, I have this wok. It's great. You could throw a bunch of stuff in it and make one meal in one dish in that. And then the pressure cooker. Oh my gosh, if you haven't tried pressure cooking, you should, because it really cuts down your time in the kitchen. Instapot is my favorite. It comes with a cookbook. You can literally throw a bunch of stuff in from the recipes and have your meal ready to go in 20 minutes. Okay. Also, when you're cooking, you need to know about gluten, because this has become a real problem for a lot of families, whether you know it or not, in the last few years. What is gluten? So gluten is the protein found in grains that gives it the elasticity. And 1 out of 133 people have a gluten sensitivity, whether they know it or not. And there are over 300 known symptoms, and it's not always gut related. It could be ADHD symptoms. It could be fatigue. It could be insomnia. It could be muscle and joint aches and pains. It could be headaches. So gluten can trigger a gene to become reactive and disrupt healthy brain function. So things to look for: fatigue, skin rashes, joint pain, weight issues, digestive issues, attention deficit issues. If any of these are going on, I highly recommend that either 1, you get tested for a gluten sensitivity, or 2, just try cutting it out for 3 weeks and see if you see a difference. And here's some tips to get started. Is you'll see in the grocery store aisle, there's tons of gluten-free options, but the key here is not to go from one bad thing to another, because there's a lot of junk food gluten-free stuff, and they're using the marketing of gluten-free as the next trend. And so there's a lot of things that are absolutely no nutritional value, that are just white refined carbs packaged in a gluten-free box, right? In a box that says gluten-free on it. So they replace the gluten with other non-nutritional things like rice flour or tapioca flour. And so the things that you'll want to look for is wheat, spelt, kamut, rye, barley, and then some oats, all of which contain gluten. Okay, step 6, we need to talk about supplements. So we always want to start with food first, but health is a process, and food is the biggest piece of it. However, there's what we call the layering effect. And so we have to layer in supplements. And so I wish that we could get everything we need from our food, but unfortunately our soils are so depleted of crucial minerals, we cannot get all the nutrients that our kids need to get from our food. And so that's where supplements come in. I think that supplements can round out any good health plan if used correctly and not abused. So first, you want to look for a whole food multivitamin, multimineral. Whole food, meaning it's made out of real food. Your body's going to recognize it. And you can go to the grocery store, and there's a lot of vitamins. We all know we need vitamins, but it's actually minerals that most people are deficient in. 95% of Americans are deficient in minerals. Every organ in the body depends on minerals to operate at its optimal level. And minerals are responsible for over 300 different metabolic functions in the body. So you're going to look for something that's clean and free from a bunch of junk. You're something that is in therapeutic doses to positively affect the body. You're going to look for a balanced blend of essential vitamins, including A, C, E, and complex Bs, and then bioavailable minerals, including calcium, magnesium, zinc, copper, and manganese. And then next, you'll want to get a good omega-3 fish oil supplement. And I know this is one that the kids turn their nose at that because they don't want to have the fish burps or it smells like fish. But there are some out on the market today that do not taste bad. And so this is the one that my family uses. It's actually flavored with wild orange essential oil. But you're going to want to look for 600 milligrams of EPA, 400 milligrams of DHA per serving. And the reason we want to do omega-3s is because not only does it promote cardiovascular health, but it provides important modulating nutrients for healthy immune function, and it also supports healthy brain function and healthy skin. Okay, then lastly, we really want to look for a good probiotic that has a prebiotic. Most probiotics on the grocery store shelf only have probiotics in them. And the prebiotic is what's important because without the prebiotics actually feed and sustain the healthy probiotics. And without them, they die. So when sometimes you buy them on the shelf that are just probiotics, they're already dead before you get them home. So you want to look for a minimum of 5 billion live cells of 6 strains of friendly flora. And you want to get the probiotics because this is going to help with your family's GI tract, metabolism, absorption of nutrients, healthy brain and nervous system function. It's also going to help with kidney, bladder, urinary tract, and reproductive systems, as well as promoting healthy lung and respiratory tract function. Okay, 7, we're going to want to detoxify our personal care. And this may seem crazy because we've been talking about food and supplements and where does personal care play into this? And so we talked about the layer and effective health. Well, think about personal care products as food for your skin. It's nourishment for your skin and your whole health. So you may or may not have known that your skin is actually your largest organ. It's not the tough outer layer like many people perceive. It's actually permeable. Everything you put on your skin goes into your bloodstream within seconds, which makes it one of the most important aspects of health. So we now know that 80,000 chemicals in the U.S. have never been tested fully for their toxic effects on our health. So we need to be in charge of this and really do our due diligence. Women are now using an average of 168 different ingredients in our personal care products, and men on average are slathering 85 different ingredients on their bodies every day, and children average 61 ingredients. And there's loopholes in the U.S. federal law that allow the cosmetics industry to put unlimited amounts of chemicals into our personal care products with no required testing, no monitoring of health effects, and inadequate labeling requirements. Okay, one of the worst ingredients on any personal care product is the word fragrance. The word fragrance can mean up to 3,000 different chemicals, but all the manufacturer has to do is put that word fragrance on the bottle, and that's it. So we also know that children's developing brains are susceptible to harmful chemicals. Health issues that are linked to chemical exposure are allergies, asthma, eczema, hormone dysfunction, infertility, immune disorders, and cancer. Okay, so these are some of the things we're going to want to look for on the labels. Parabens, and that means anything that has the word paraben. You know, propylparaben, ethylparaben, just anything paraben. Petrochemicals, synthetic colors and fragrances, SLS, triclosan, and phthalates, just to name a few. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is, just like in our food, you're going to replace the chemicals with more nourishing ingredients that you recognize from Mother Nature: essential oils, carrier oils, butters, emollients, exfoliants, and antioxidants. So if you see the big picture really is for our food, our water, our personal care products, you want to go away from chemicals and toward more healthy, wholesome choices. Okay, and then step 9 is essential oils. If you've not embraced essential oils by now, then you should, because they are an intricate part of any family health makeover. So if you aren't familiar with them, essential oils are basically natural aromatic compounds that are extracted and distilled from plants for health benefits. And they are 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs, and they're really affordable. Really, if you think of the potency of them, one serving of an essential oil is equal to 1 drop. And so for an example, 1 drop of peppermint essential oil, which is about 8 cents per use, equals the potency of 28 cups of peppermint tea. And if we take a closer look, on the left, you'll see a peppermint leaf. And if you put it underneath a microscope on the right, you'll see the white sacs. Those are the essential oil sacs on the peppermint leaf. And so for an example, if you go out to your garden, you pick, say, a rosemary sprig, and you run your hand along it, your hand will smell like rosemary. That's because you popped the oil sacs. Those oil sacs with the essential oils in them help ward off pests and protect the plant and rejuvenate and regenerate the plant's cells, much like what the essential oils do for us. So oils can penetrate the cell membrane to combat threats without building up resistance. Antibiotics cannot do that. So for instance, if you go to the doctor and he says, oh, you have a viral infection, Well, that virus lives inside the cell. Antibiotics are not going to work, but the essential oils can penetrate that cell membrane and ward off that threat. So we know that symptoms are just indicators that something is going on at a deeper level. Oils work with the body to address issues at a cellular level. Medications do not do that. Medications only address the symptoms. Okay, so here's the different kinds of essential oils. First, synthetic. These are the most toxic, such as chemical fragrances, like I talked about. And then there's food essential oils, such as if you go to eat a peppermint patty, off the grocery store shelf, that is a food extract, a flavoring. So while the chocolate may give you some therapeutic, benefit or emotional well-being benefit, the peppermint's not going to give you any therapeutic value. And then there's just the plain old word therapeutic, which is really an unregulated standard. It leads to mislabeling claims or misleading claims. And it's kind of like putting the word natural on bread or something else on the, in the grocery store. It's not, nobody's monitoring that. Okay. It's just in marketing. So what you're going to want to look for is essential oils that are certified pure therapeutic grade. They're going to be harvested at the right time for therapeutic properties. For instance, you can get strawberries off season or out of season, but they're not going to have the same nutritional value as strawberries in season, right? Same thing with essential oils. You want essential oils that are distilled at the right time for therapeutic properties. For instance, Melissa oil is a highly valued therapeutic essential oil, but the time that needs to happen between the harvesting and the distillation process is very short. If it goes outside that time, the therapeutic markers tend to decrease. And then you have to have indigenous sourcing. You have to get the oils where the plants grow naturally. I mean, I could grow lavender in my backyard in Texas, but it's not going to be as potent as lavender that's grown in France, where it grows naturally. And then last but not least, you have to have third-party testing so that you're not just relying on the company that makes and sells the oils to say that, oh yeah, it's pure and it's potent. You're having a third-party lab that's not affiliated with the company that's saying that it's pure and free of fillers and pesticides, right? So essential oils really are plant-based medicine, natural medicine, and they can help with everything from sleep issues, digestive issues, mood, behavior, brain issues, weight issues, skin conditions, thyroid, hormone imbalance, cellular health, pain, detox, and so much more. So for your 30-day family health makeover, you need to embrace setting your family up for a priceless, healthier future, okay? So don't leave the webinar just yet. I do have some freebies for you. But to embracing the 30-day family health makeover, such as my online program, so here are some of the things that you'll get if you decide to join my online program. First, you'll uncover the truth about how our food supply is making our kids so sick with ADHD, asthma, allergies, and autism. You'll gain an understanding of the cancer and food connection. You'll learn how to improve mood and behavior with food. You'll learn about the link between food and kid hormones, how to do a pantry purge painlessly, which cooking oils are safe and which are toxic, what brands contain hormone-disrupting BPA. You'll learn about MSG, which is a danger to kids' brains, and the 40 hidden names it goes under. You'll also learn about the dangers of pesticides, herbicides, and GMOs. You'll learn how to decode food labels. You'll learn about easy, healthy food swaps, which water filters to choose, and how to use essential oils for common family health issues. You'll also get a free non-GMO shopping guide. I'd like to offer you some free resources. All you have to do is text Nutrient Quiz to 44222, and that's Nutrient Quiz with no space in between, and you'll get my free nutrient deficiency quiz so that you can tell whether or not someone in your family has a nutrient deficiency. Also, you'll get another email offering a 30% discount on my complete 30-day family health makeover program, plus my own free health coaches grocery list. You'll also get an offer for free essential oils samples, as well as my free essential oil ebook. You'll get an offer to try out my crock pot and casserole recipe program. You'll also get a coupon for 25% off of my How to Get Your Kids to Beg for Veggies cookbook ebook, as well as an offer for a complimentary wellness phone consult with me, and a lot more. So with that, I appreciate you joining me for my webinar, and please stay in touch. You could always reach me at groovybeads.com.